It was supposed to be a joke. That's how I convinced myself to walk onto the glossy stage, lights blinding my eyes and cameras circling like vultures. But the joke ended the second his lips touched mine, and suddenly every muscle in my body forgot how to pretend. I never wanted to be here, in front of America's watchful eyes. The producers called it Love Trial, the kind of primetime dating show that mashed together awkward small talk, staged games, and shallow flirtations. My best friend dared me to apply, saying I was too serious, too shut in. "Come on, Eli," he teased. "You need a little chaos." Maybe I did. Or maybe I was just tired of saying no to everything that scared me. And then there was him, Caleb. He was supposed to be my rival, my opposite, the one they paired me with for drama. I knew it the second I saw him leaning casually against the backdrop during rehearsal, hands shoved in his hoodie pockets, smirk tugging his lips like he'd already figured out everyone's secrets. He wasn't the kind of boy you were supposed to fall for. He was reckless, charming in the dangerous way that makes producers drool and parents roll their eyes. But I fell anyway. The first round of the show was simple icebreaker questions. We sat under blazing stage lights while the host read cards in an exaggerated voice. The audience laughed at Caleb's sarcastic answers, while I tried not to choke on my own nerves. "Eli," the host turned to me with a grin that felt rehearsed. "What's your ideal type?" My chest tightened. I wasn't out to the world. My parents back in Ohio still thought my quietness meant shyness, not secrecy. And now I was supposed to announce it on national TV? But Caleb's eyes flicked to me, steady and unflinching, as if daring me to be honest. I swallowed hard. Someone who sees me, not the version of me everyone expects, but the one I really am. The crowd gave a polite murmur of approval. But Caleb gave me a look like I had just handed him the key to something forbidden. By the second round, things got complicated. We were asked to perform silly challenges in pairs. The twist? The producers paired me with Caleb, like they knew something already simmered beneath the surface. One challenge involved blindfolding me while he guided me through an obstacle course, his hand hovering near my back but never quite touching. The heat of him was everywhere, though, his voice low and teasing in my ear. "Careful, Eli," he said when I nearly stumbled. "I've got you." I hated how much I wanted to believe that. The turning point came during the infamous compatibility test, where contestants were asked to stage a romantic gesture. Most couples laughed their way through awkward hugs or cheesy one-liners. But when it was our turn, Caleb didn't laugh. He didn't crack a joke. He stepped closer, so close I could see the flecks of green in his hazel eyes, and whispered just for me, "Don't freak out," and then kissed me. It wasn't a quick peck or some playful stunt. It was slow, deliberate, with a softness that didn't belong on a TV script. My whole body went rigid, then melted all at once, as if years of loneliness had been waiting for this single spark. The audience gasped. The host laughed nervously. But all I heard was the rush of blood in my ears and the silent confession in Caleb's trembling breath. When he pulled away, the cameras zoomed in, searching for drama. But they missed the most important part, me heart, which had just betrayed me on live television. After filming, I cornered him backstage. My voice shook, half angry, half desperate. "What the hell was that, Caleb? Was that just for the cameras?" He looked at me for a long moment, then shrugged. "Does it matter? You felt it too." I hated that he was right. The next few days blurred into a whirlwind of shooting schedules, interviews, and carefully staged moments. Yet every time Caleb brushed past me, every accidental glance, every smirk that lingered too long, it all chipped away at my defenses. The show wanted us to be entertainment, but somewhere between scripted questions and manipulated drama, we became something real. Still, reality outside the cameras loomed like a storm. Online comments started flooding in. Some viewers called us brave. Others hurled slurs that made my stomach twist. My parents texted me once, asking if what they saw was just for the show. I left the message unread. One night, unable to sleep, I found Caleb sitting alone behind the stage, a cigarette glowing faintly between his fingers. He looked up when I approached, his expression softer than I'd ever seen it. "You shouldn't be here," I muttered, though I stayed anyway. He smirked. Neither should you. Yet here we are. The silence stretched. My chest ached with questions I was too afraid to ask. Finally, he spoke, voice low. Do you ever feel like you've been pretending your whole life? Like the real you is locked away, waiting for someone to notice? My throat tightened. I thought about my parents, my church back home, the endless expectations I tried to mold myself into. And then I thought about his kiss. Yes, I whispered. He looked at me then, not like a rival, not like a co-star, but like someone who understood every fracture in me. And in that moment, beneath the glow of forgotten stage lights, I realized the truth. This wasn't just a game show anymore. This was the beginning of something I couldn't run from. The next morning, everything shifted. The producers smelled blood in the water. Suddenly, Caleb and I were pushed into every scene together: mock, romantic dinners, forced confessions, even a segment where we had to write each other love letters on camera. It was supposed to be fabricated tension, a storyline the audience could devour. But every time I looked at him, I felt the raw edges of something that wasn't fabricated at all. The problem was, I didn't know if I could handle it. When the letter-writing scene aired, my phone buzzed with messages. Some were supportive. Many were cruel. Strangers dissected my voice, my face, my hesitation. I tried to ignore it, but the weight of their words pressed into my chest until it felt like I couldn't breathe. During one break in filming, I told Caleb, I don't think I can do this. The cameras, the comments, my family, it's too much. He stared at me, his jaw tightening. So what? You're going to run? I snapped. Maybe I should. Not everyone gets to be fearless like you. For a moment, he looked like I'd hit him. Then he dropped his gaze, muttering, You think I'm fearless? Eli, I'm terrified every second. But at least with you, I don't feel like I'm lying anymore. Those words clung to me long after we walked away from each other. The climax came during the live finale. The audience was electric, the stage glowing brighter than ever. Each pair of contestants had to stand in front of the crowd and either choose their partner or walk away. It was the perfect setup for television heartbreak. When our turn came, I could barely feel my legs. My hands shook as the host asked, Eli, Caleb, do you choose each other? The cameras zoomed in, capturing every flicker of hesitation on my face. I thought about my parents, their silence like a wall between us. I thought about the messages online, the strangers who hated us without knowing us. And then I looked at Caleb. He wasn't smirking this time. His expression was raw, unguarded. He looked at me like the whole world had narrowed down to this one question. And suddenly I knew. I reached for his hand. My voice cracked, but I said it anyway. Yes, I choose him. The crowd erupted cheers, gasps, maybe even some boos. But none of it mattered, because Caleb's fingers tightened around mine like an anchor. He leaned close enough for only me to hear and whispered, Took you long enough. He kissed me again, right there under the burning lights, and this time I kissed him back without fear. The aftermath wasn't easy. The morning headlines were brutal. Reality TV's gay romance shocks America. Comment sections flared with every opinion possible. My parents called, their voices cold, asking if this was who I really was. I told them yes, for the first time in my life. They hung up. I cried that night, alone in my tiny apartment. But then there was a knock at my door, and when I opened it, Caleb stood there with takeout in one hand and a look that dared me to shut him out. Thought you might need someone, he said simply. We ate Chinese food on the floor, the glow of the city outside our window. I told him about my parents, my fears, the ache of losing people I loved. He listened, not trying to fix it, just staying there beside me. When I finally leaned into him, he wrapped an arm around me like it was the most natural thing in the world. Weeks turned into months. The show faded into the background, replaced by new scandals and new couples. Some people still recognized us on the street, pointing or snapping photos, but the frenzy lessened with time. What stayed was something quieter, something real. We fought sometimes. Caleb was impulsive, reckless, always diving headfirst without thinking. I was cautious, guarded, clinging to rules even when they suffocated me. But we learned. We met in the middle. One night, sitting on the roof of his building, he asked me, "Do you ever regret saying yes?" I looked at him, the boy who kissed me when I was too afraid to breathe, the boy who held me when the world turned cruel, and I shook my head. No, not once. He smiled then, and it wasn't his usual cocky grin. It was softer, almost shy. "Good, because I think I might be in love with you." My heart stumbled. The city stretched out below us, endless and indifferent, but in that moment it felt like the universe had stilled. I took his hand, lacing my fingers with his, and whispered the words back, "I think I am too." We kissed under the stars, no cameras, no audience, no script. Just us. The road ahead wasn't perfect. My parents still wouldn't talk to me. Some nights, the weight of it all pressed so hard I thought I'd break. But Caleb was there, messy, infuriating, loyal, and slowly, I began to believe that love could be enough. Months later, we returned to that same stage, not as contestants but as guests invited back for a reunion episode. The host tried to stir drama, asking if our relationship was still real outside of the show. Caleb just laughed, pulling me closer on the couch. "You tell me," he said, before kissing me right there on live TV again. The crowd cheered. I smiled into the kiss, no longer afraid. Because love, I realized, isn't about proving yourself to the world. It's about finding the one person who sees you, really sees you, and choosing them, again and again, no matter who's watching. And I had found mine. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.